So here are a few reminders. So you will have mock exam and quiz second on next Monday, and then Unit 1 exam on next Wednesday. So the question for the mock exam is kind of similar with the your real exam, so that after mock exam you guys will have like better understanding how the question will appear in exam. And then there will be open lab Saturday 8 to 10 a.m. and Sunday 3 to 5 p.m. So I always recommend to go to open lab, so you have better chance to clarify any confusion you may have before the exam. And in exam and quiz both, you might have like 6 type of questions. But ID could be identification, N is innervation, but I should be insertion, and O is origin, FXN is function, and there could be any type of conceptual questions. Any type of conceptual question. For example, like so we already went over the brain. That could be what is the function of cerebrospinal fluid, right? Or what are the number of the vertebrae in your vertebral column, something like that. So you better prepare for all those kind of questions. So let me run through the whatever we already went over in lab 1 and lab 2, and then I'll give a little bit preview of the lab 3rd. So in lab 1, we basically went over all these bones of the spine, shoulder and hip, right? And in the lab 2nd, we went over brain, spinal cord, cranial nerves, and spinal nerves. So in case of the bones of the spine, you guys know there is how many total vertebrae in your spine? How many? 33. So can you differentiate those like region wise? Like how many cervical do you have? How many thoracic do you have? Right? You have like 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 4 coccygeals. Here I made a like easy mnemonics for you guys, like wake up at 7, have lunch at 12, back to home by 5, finish 5 assignment by 4 p.m. tomorrow, so that you can remember like that. So always like even you go to the muscles or like different bony features, something like that, you can always make your own mnemonics. That's how that makes your life easier. Otherwise it's like lots of structure, lots of terminology, you might be confused in exam. So by now you know where is your cervical vertebrae, where is your thoracic, and where is your lumbar, right, and where is your coccygeal. So when you have this spine is very interesting. In case of the child at birth, you can see that C-shaped spinal curvature. But as you grow, that spine becomes S-shaped. Why it becomes S-shaped? Because you develop concavity in cervical region and convexity in thoracic region, and again concavity in the lumbar region and convexity in the sacral region. As you see, this concavity in cervical region is cervical lordosis, and this convexity in your thoracic region is thoracic kyphosis. Again, lumbar lordosis LL, lumbar L and lordosis L, and this is sacral kyphosis and caudal kyphosis. So you guys better know what is kyphosis and what is lordosis by now. Sometimes there is abnormalities in case of kyphosis. You can see as the in case of the old people, you can see the exaggerated kyphosis in thoracic region. You can see the humpback, that is hyperthoracic kyphosis. Likewise, sometimes you can see the hyper exaggerated lordosis in the lumbar region. That is so this is kind of like abnormalities in the spine curvatures. When we deal with the spines, we are dealing with the joints and ligament as well, right? Last time also I told you about that a little bit. Our skull, the first vertebra, that is atlas, is joined with the occiput of the skull with the special joint called as the occipito-atlanto joint. Likewise, you have a blue tape here, that is your atlas joined with axis with the atlantoaxial joint. So these joints are very important. So when you say S, right, so your occipito-atlanto joint is involved. But when you say no, your atlantoaxial joint is involved. So you should know about like how this joint work in your spine. Likewise, your spine consists of several ligament, right? Several ligament. For example, this is your spine. The spine has a special type of the ligament starting from skull to all the way to the sacrum, right? That is on the top of the spinous process. That ligament is called as what is the ligament? Supraspinous ligament. But the ligament starting from skull up to the C7 becomes very thick, right? And it has another name. What is the ligament? What is that ligament? Ligamentum nuchae. That is the ligamentum nuchae. Likewise, you have a ligament from each consecutive lamina of the bone from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, something like that. What is that? That is the ligamentum laevum. And also you have this red tape. There is a ligament from the spinous process of one to another consecutive vertebra. As the name indicates, there is an interspinous ligament. And you have another ligament on the anterior side of the spine from skull all the way to your sacrum. What is that ligament called? Huh? This is anterior, right? This is posterior. So it is anterior longitudinal ligament. It goes all the way to the sacrum. That is anterior longitudinal. So do you have any question about the ligament? So what does that ligament do in the spine? It helps like movement of the spine, right? Because it has articulation. It has to do different functions of the movement between different vertebrae of the cervical region, thoracic region. So those ligaments really help you to adjust your spine. So also we went over the pelvis. So the pelvis is the bone of hip, right? So it consists of 3 major bones. What are those bones? Can anyone volunteer to that? What is the three bones of the pelvis? Sacrum is a part of the vertebral column, right? Ilium, ischium, and pubis. So yeah, so you have a ischium, ilium, and pubis, 3 particular part of the bone. This blue tape is ilium, right? And this portion where you sit on is ischium, and this portion is pubis. And 2 pubis is connected together here by pubic symphysis. And you have a big cavity here where your bone of your femur bone of thigh communicate here, right? What is that cavity called for? Acetabulum. So it makes here ball and socket joint. So likewise, this is the scapula. The scapula is the bone of shoulder, right? So it is easily identifiable if you go through the spine of the scapula, this red tape, right? The spine of scapula. The spine of scapula continue into the acromion process. And what is this orange tape? Coracoid. And above the spine of scapula, there is a valley. We call that is supraspinous fossa, right? And then below, what is the valley? Infraspinous. And what is on the anterior side? Subscapular fossa. And what is this cavity? Glenoid cavity. So what does that mean for? What does that mean for? The head of the humerus fit on this, right? In the second lab, we went over the central and peripheral nervous system. So I think you guys pretty much know about the central and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system deals with the brain and spinal cord, as the name indicates, the central nervous system. And then peripheral nervous system deals with the nerves arising from the periphery of those brain and spinal cord. So brain gives rise the cranial nerves, and spinal cord gives rise the spinal nerves. And both spinal cord and brain is covered by 3 protective layering. So the outermost layer is called as the dura mater.